Hello, and yes, here I am. I tried to go live, but for whatever reason wasn't working. But here I am. Nothing will stop me from sharing the Janome love one way or the other. Yes, my name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm back to share some tips and tricks of more of our Janome presser feet, or in this case, it's an accessory, the Janome quilt binder set. Now, it's similar to the binder foot that I demoed the other week, where that binder foot, folded in the raw edges of the fabric and then folded it in half to create this beautiful little strip. Look at how gorgeous that is. Beautiful, even sewing. I didn't have to burn my fingers at all. The foot did all the work. And isn't that cute that I created this cute little tag that we could put on a gift, or then I could use that binder foot to bind a single layer of fabric. That this could be a collar edge, the button placket, it could be a pocket edge, so whatever we'd like to do. Now, the quilt binder set that I'm going to be demoing today, well, that's what we're going to use for our quilts, where we've got batting in between. We've got our backing and our quilt top and batting in between, so we need a bigger binder. The binder foot will not work with all of these thicker layers, but the quilt binder set, oh, you'll see how fast and easy it is. Start off with little placemats like this, and you can get your quilts done faster than you could imagine. Now, this is my very first attempt 9 years ago when I started with Janome. Look at those beautiful mitered corners. That's what everybody wants to know. How can I miter my corners? So I will share with you all the little tips and tricks to miter the corners. So it's a really fast, easy way to finish our quilts. So let's flip around here and get started, because the time will fly by. And let's see, there we go. Switch cameras to the fabulous Janome Memory Craft 1000. Now, I have been using this machine all month, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is a combo machine, sewing and embroidery, geared mainly for the beginners or inexperienced sewists. And if you want to get into embroidery, then this is definitely a great machine for you. Check your Janome Canada dealer, Janome America dealer for what promotions they have on the moment. So Memory Craft 1000. And yes, the cool thing is there is a quilt binder set that will work with this machine. You can go on to our Janome Accessory catalog online to Janome America, janome.com, or Janome Canada, janome.ca, to find out which quilt binder will work for your machine. So here is the binder itself. Now that looks a lot like that W foot of the binder foot, but it's a much larger opening. For the binder foot that I showed the other week, you can go back to YouTube, in particular, Janome Canada or Janome America's YouTube channel. That binder foot produced, it was a 1-inch strip, and it went down to about 1/4 of an inch wide. This quilt binder attachment will start with a 2-inch wide strip of fabric, and it will go down to approximately about 1/2 of an inch. So there is a binder for most machines, and what really determines which one we need, we take our bobbin cover off our machine, and on the back of the base plate, you will see there's my bobbin cover, and there on this base plate, I need them to be the exact same size. So in this case, with my bobbin cover here of my Memory Craft 1000, I know this is the base plate I want. And where this base plate and the binder, they all come together, it's the quilt binder set. And if you can see through the blister pack there, it says easy set model. Now, it also says 9mm, but my Memory Craft 1000 here is a 7mm machine. It's not a 9mm machine, but it is an easy set. And what we refer to as easy set is if we have this little thread cutter next to our bobbin cover. So that is the easy set. So even though my machine is not 9mm, I can use this easy set version, because you will see it just slips in. Boom, that's what I want. Here is the other base plate. It comes as another quilt binder with another part number. But you'll notice this bobbin cover here of my Memoricraft 1000. You see that silver base plate? It's a little longer. It's a rectangular bobbin cover, but it wouldn't be for easy set. So this will fit most other 7mm machines, like 4120, for example. This other quilt binder will work for that. So we need to make sure we get the correct one for our machine. Now, the easy set version is going to come with this 9mm foot. But again, I have a 7mm machine here. So I actually need to use this foot, which is the W1 foot that will come with the other quilt binder set. Or we could just use our regular A foot, the zigzag foot. We could use our even feed foot, dual feed foot, or some other machines would use the AccuFeed Flex foot. And you may see there is a little line down the toe of the foot that's a suggested needle position. So I will clip this on. And again, I could just use the regular A foot of my machine as well. We certainly can't use this big 9mm foot in our 7mm machine. So there is the binder itself, or there is the base plate. And then included are these 3 screws. We take the largest one and we put this in the threaded screw hole in the needle plate, and we're going to tighten that down really good because we don't want this binder to move at all. And then these 2 screws, little screws, are to attach to affix the actual binder down to the base plate. So it's 2 units, the base plate and the binder itself. Now I put some cellophane tape and I drew markings on where I typically will position my binder. So it just makes it faster and easier when I do my setup here, but you can, you don't have to do that, but it just makes it, again, faster and easier. Now we can still position this binder exactly where we want it. We don't have to tighten up these screws. Again, we can position it once we get the fabric through the binder itself. So again, we start with a 2-inch wide strip of fabric. Now I have this on the Janome tape stand and works so beautifully. It comes with a base here that I have my little pins, which I'll use later, and this little silver metal shelf, basically, that I roll up my binding 2-inch wide. Works beautifully when we use a Janome pencil. Isn't that great? So there is my binding strip. Now, even if we're going to use French fold binding, this is traditional French fold binding when we're folding our binding in half, wrong sides together, and then we typically stitch it on our quilt and fold it over, and then fold it over to the back side, and this we'll do by hand or we'll do by machine. That's traditional French fold binding. So I could use this Janome tape stand perfectly with that type of binding. I just plop it on, remove my pencil, plop it on, and it works so well. Here is the part number of the Janome tape stand. It works so well for binding. Now, as I mentioned, French fold binding, we're doing binding in way more steps. What I love about the quilt binder, this is, I call it down and dirty quilting, where we just want to get our projects done fast and easy. So with this accordion folder here, we just simply get our fabric in. And then this edge, we often recommend trimming off at a 45-degree angle. It'll make it a little easier when you put it in the mouth of the binder here. And then you can use a pin or a stiletto, something just to seam ripper, something just to bring it down like this. Now, don't worry, you can always go back and review this presentation later. Facebook deletes them after 30 days, but there will be on the Janome Canada, Janome America YouTube channel indefinitely. And we have lots of resources online for various videos, which I will share in just a bit. So again, I didn't tighten these little screws. So this is where I pull the fabric through the binder, and you see how The strip then has folded the raw edges into the center, and then when it comes out the back, it's all beautifully finished. It does it all in one step. So again, we can position this exactly where we want, and then take our little screwdriver here. And I always recommend do a little test sample first. For every little bit of sewing, do your little test sample first and make sure you're happy with it before starting on your big project. And then this is my needle position. 3.5 is my center needle position of my 7mm machine. So I can bring that over. Whoops, I want to reduce it. So then I can go to the left. You see my line of stitching and moving to the left. I want it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of my fabric. I don't have to use that little tick mark of the foot if I don't want to. Now, my stitch length, the default is 2.4, but I like to go at least to a 3.0. It's a little bit longer because we're going through more layers. We don't need that tight stitch. So that's it. So there is setup. Now, for your project, again, any kind of thicker project where we have the batting in between, quilt top. This is a cute little oh, sorry about the cough. I have been a little sick lately. It's that time of year. This is a cute little sample that I started last year, actually. You can go back and review making a string quilt. And then I was doing some ruler quilting as well. You can go back to all of those previous Janome Canada videos. And there was some embroidery I did last week. And I actually finished it all. This was the embroidery I did last week on air, and I didn't have time to completely finish it. But doesn't that look beautiful with the white on white with a little bit of black accents? So beautiful. A design built into the Memory Craft 1000, for example. So there I did it and used that design. This was my little test sample. And I decided, oh, well, great. I'll use it as my backing. This way, this little trivet, little table runner now is double-sided. So that is good. And again, maybe I'm going to give this away as a gift. So this quilt binder attachment is so good to get projects done faster and easier than ever. Now, when we're positioning, we just kind of butt in our quilt through the mouth of the binder here, so it touches. And then I do want to look back at my strip and see, okay, where is the joint of the binding? I don't want to have it started where if there's a joint in my binding, I don't want it to, come out in the corner. I want to try to avoid that as much as I can. So where you start your binding will depend on, again, where you have a joint in your strip, if you have one. So yes, I'll just start way down here, and that way I know I won't have a problem. It'll totally work. Eventually, you'll get a seam in the corner, and it's fine. You can do it. So now lower the foot. So now I'm using a straight stitch, but I don't need to. I can use any one of the decorative stitches built into the machine, and you'll see how fast and easy that is as I'm sewing along. And here I'm getting up to the corner. So the straightaways is where you're going to really save a lot of time. Where you're going to spend a little bit of time finessing is the corners. And this is where everybody wants to know, how do I miter those corners? So what I do is sew right up until the edge of the quilt. I don't want to sew over it. I want to sew right up until the edge. Traditional French fold binding, we're stopping the seam allowance width away from the corner. In this case, no, this is done differently. We're right to the edge. So there, one stitch. Now I'm going to raise my foot and pull this binding strip through. And you see this quilt tape binder here? Doesn't that work so beautifully with the tape binder? Or the tape stand does not work beautifully with the tape stand. There's my binding just rolling off very easily. And again, I want to prevent that joint from going into the binder. It'll make it easier if it's not in there for when we pull this back out. So you'll see here is my big strip out the back. And what I'm going to do is drop my presser foot. I haven't cut my threads at all. They are very long, and I've purposely left these long threads because I'm going to use them to help me pull this back through. So I'll just separate them out of the way, and then you'll see my beautiful stitching. Look at that. On the back side, look at that. So now I just need to pull this out taut. Now you decide, typically when I'm alone at home and I'm not filming, I will do this at the back of the machine. I'll actually stand up and do this. And what I am doing is creasing. I'm making a crease along this folded edge. Do you see how the binder has folded? There's the raw edges. They folded it in the middle. So I'm creating a crease right here, which I can either use a wooden iron, I could use just my fingers, I could wet my fingers a little bit, I could put a spray bottle, whatever, just to crease a little bit there. And do you see that crease? Now I'm going to push that crease along the edge of the quilt, and that is what's going to form the miter. It's so beautiful. Now I can go on and again take as long as we need to refine this however we would like. And then once we get it in, we have these, I like to use these very fine, oh, they're so fine. I like to use these very fine, oh, I'm trying to separate them. These very fine silk pins, very fine, very delicate silk pins. And they actually are called silk pins. If you have, again, silky, slinky fabrics, you don't want a big pin. So your big, I call these lemon flavored pins. These pins we don't want to use because that's too bulky in this corner. So we use our silk pins to, again, get that corner in. And then this is on the back side. And we just fold that in there. So that is beautiful. So there is my miter. So then I'm just going to tuck this all back in and raise my foot. And now I need to go back in to my binder here, into my binding strip, and pull back that strip. And I want to get this back up to the beginning. So you just spend a little bit of time finessing it. It really works well the more you do it. And again, you won't have a camera in front of you, so it'll work out really good for you. And again, I just pull this right back. And then I will often go back and forth like this. I'll kind of rock it into place. So once I get this back just where I need it, and I tuck my quilt sandwich in there. There we go. And, ooh, I don't want to change my stitch. You have to be careful when we're touching the screen. My finger accidentally hit my LCD screen. I've got to go back to my regular stitches. So yes, then we get this right back to, there we go. There we go. Okay. Yes. And then I need to get my needle position back over to where I was. There we go. So simple to do. So yes, then I pull this back through. There we go. And then these long thread tails, again, I'm just going to tuck under here. I've got those long thread tails that are going to help me pull all this thickness back through. So once I get it exactly as I want, then I pull it all the way back up to start. Then I can see exactly where to drop my needle. Now, we've all been told, do not sew over pins, and I'm certainly not telling you now to sew over pins. You absolutely do not sew over pins. So what I am going to do, drop my foot, is gingerly rotate my balance wheel, very gingerly. And I'm rotating the balance wheel towards me. Always turn it towards you. And you're just feeling, because you do not want to sew over a pin. You certainly don't want to hit anything. So I can refine this as much as I need to. And once I clear that pin, there we go. Once I clear the pin, then I can go full steam ahead. So it works really, really easily. And I just go along. And as usual, I won't have a whole lot of time. But again, it'll just go on very simple, very easily. I can actually cut this. And, oops, sorry. I'm just going to cut this because then I'm going to move on and show you how I typically end this strip. So I will go around my quilt the whole time and then remove the pins. So I left the pins in there, but this is why, again, I did not want to sew over the pin. So I didn't put my foot on the gas. I just rotated the balance wheel to walk the needle by hand over where I had the pin, and then I removed it. And then on the back side, there we go. So there is my beautiful, now there it shifted a little bit because I was hurrying, but the corner is the main thing. Now here, if I wanted to refine my miter a little bit more, do you see? I could take in my stiletto and I could just fold this under like that. I could just fold it under a little bit there and make that nice and sharp. Just fold it in. And then these, I love leaving these thread tails because I use these with a self-threading needle and I sew up to refine my miter. So there, that looks definitely a little better. And then here on this side, that looks beautiful as it is. So then I would just use, again, the self-threading needle, and I personally sew up that miter. So it looks really, really good. So again, this was my very first attempt on doing the miters. So there, it worked out pretty good. Now this is, again, 9 years old, and this was done when, again, I don't have a camera in front of me and I'm not rushing, but it really works very well. So there, if you want to, again, you could move your needle position a little closer. Again, I typically leave it about 1/8 of an inch away, but it worked out really, really good. There's, again, the miter on that side. And typically I have a little bit more fabric on the bottom, so then I know for sure it's been caught. But you can totally adjust that with these little teeth adjustments that you can adjust up here. And again, full instructions in the blister pack. Very quickly, I just wanted to show then if we are, or when we are finishing, I'll just load this up again. When we are finishing, then there's many different ways you can finish off your strip. This is how I like to do it. It's just, again, faster and easier for me, but you finish it off however you wish. And again, I'll just take my little stiletto here to get that through very quickly. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that there are lots of resources available, though, so you do whatever works best for you. But this is the way I typically will finish off my strip. So this is my beautiful quilt. I've totally finished. And let's say I'm coming back here. This is where I started. You always leave a little tail when you first get started. So then this is, now I'm just going to go along and I'm coming up to finish this strip. So I'll just put this in here, drop the foot. So as I'm getting up to where I initially started, then I see, okay, I've got like this much left. Now, very inaccurately, I always then go, okay, I've got this much left. There, that's, I just kind of do this. That's about the same distance. What I usually end up doing is just out here somewhere, I will just cut this strip like so. I know I'm going to have enough to cover. And then with a glue stick or any kind of, even if you could, press this with a wooden iron or press it with your fingers, I like using the glue stick because then it just holds down that edge. You can use a fabric glue stick preferably. And just fold over this edge like that. So that'll finish this edge off nice and neat. And I don't worry about mitering it. Typically when I'm doing my strips, this way, that I have them, with the 45-degree miter, the strips are a little flatter this way. When I go to finish my binding, me personally, I don't worry about that. I just fold over this edge. And as I'm coming here to finish this strip, I notice, okay, well, this is the strip I originally started with. I can use my seam ripper or my, little scissors and just kind of get rid of some of that strip that I already, started with. I don't need all of this here. So I can just trim that off, get rid of that. And then there we go. Just trim that off. There we go. Really simple. And then this is all going to just fold over. And this is where I often get my stiletto in, because what I'm going to do is now overlap this strip over the strip I originally started with. So I make sure with my stiletto that, yes, it's actually going to cover, and there, no problem. And again, if you don't like this method, you totally find your own method. This is, again, as I call it, down and dirty quilting. Now, would this quilt be entered in the CQA, Canadian Quilters Association, big quilt show for Quilt Canada? No, they would not like this at all. Would this go into Houston International Quilt? No, not at all. But you need to get placemats done for Christmas. You need to get, again, a new baby coming. You want to give them a quilt or wall hanging. Maybe a tote bag. You need to finish off the raw edges of the fabric of your tote bag. This quilt binder is great for that. So I just raise my foot and pull out my thread. So then there, that is my strip overlapped. And you see then by tucking in that white strip in this case, I tucked in the white strip so you don't see it at all underneath, picking out over under the red here. So then this is where, again, I use that self-threading needle and I just sew up the little joint there. And look how beautiful that is. Stitching, again, all that beautiful stitching, backside, top side. It looks so good, so beautiful. So then again, I would just use that self-threading needle to sew that up. And you really don't feel it overlaps it a little bit, but I could have ripped out more of my original strip, which would be the white in this case. I could have ripped it out a little more so I wouldn't have as much overlap. But even still, that is barely anything. You really wouldn't see it. In my original sample here, I really have to study, and I often show people my samples and they feel that, and they really have to look, oh, okay, there's the little joint. Would you even really see it? Yeah, not at all. But a great way to finish off your, again, placemats, tote bags, table runners, quilts. And before I switch, I need to show, wake up my computer here, just to show that we are going to go to Janome Life blog and we will see lots of blogs here. This is me finishing a t-shirt quilt using the quilt binder set. So we just type in quilt binder set, and there's all the videos, or there's all the blog information, including pictures. Or then we can go to the Janome Canada YouTube channel, and we type in quilt binder set, and there are all these videos that come up showing the quilt binder set. So really fast, easy way that we can finish all of our quilts just in time. Oh, you'll see more of my messy sewing room. Just in time for the holidays. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. It is great to see you all. And this is the last live of this year. And I will see you all in the new year. So have a very wonderful, happy holidays and a very fabulous new year. I will see you all in 2026.